I think I do agree, Kyle. I think I did overrate this move just a touch. But my number 5 is George Pickens, the Pittsburgh Steelers, former Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver, getting traded to the Dallas Cowboys. Because it's big, because I put it here because it transforms a Cowboys team that I thought was on a hard downslide. And now who knows what happens? George Pickens, there's a reason he was available for as little as he went for. There's a reason why, even after the trade, they didn't all of a sudden just ink him to an extension in the last year of his deal and say, we want you to be our guy next to CeeDee Lamb. But there's no denying this guy's talented. The Cowboys now have 2 of the 9 wide receivers. There's only been 9 wide receivers over the past 2 seasons to go for 2+ yards per route run in each of those seasons. One's CeeDee Lamb, one's George Pickens. So you have 2 number 1 type of wide receivers in this room when it really was CeeDee Lamb and just some Jags in that receiving room. Completely transforms what it could be. But I do agree that there is a world where I don't know if this completely crashes and burns, but we're sitting here a year from now and, a Deontay Johnson situation arises, or like he's just not on the Dallas Cowboys anymore and is somewhere playing for like a 1-year, $5 million deal just because things went so far south. But there's also a world where he goes for like 1,300 yards next to CeeDee Lamb, who goes for like 1,600 yards, and this Cowboys team is back in the playoffs.
He's saying the right things, right? He said, I'm here. I want to prove myself before I get a boatload of money. He's saying the right things. Practice clips look great. We get it. But we all know if losing happens, sometimes the Steelers were winning. Pickens just didn't like what happened and he blew up on the sideline, right? Hopefully there's people in that organization that he respects enough that can settle him. Because I'm sure if Micah Parsons got in my face, I'm going to settle down, right? So hopefully he's surrounded by a group of guys that can keep all that stuff at bay. As far as offensively, this does excite me quite a bit. Yes, George Pickens and Russell Wilson, it seemed like the only thing they could do was chuck fades up the sideline, but that's what this offense specifically needs. Dallas needs a run game. That helps a run game, right? That keeps you in a too high situation when I know George Pickens is going to pick a sideline and he's going to run as fast as he can, and he's probably going to come down with that football. We need to stay too high. I knew CeeDee Lamb, knowing that George Pickens is going to take the top off in that 15 to 20-yard area. CeeDee Lamb's going to cut across the middle, and that's going to be scary. So the biggest benefit for this offense, for Dak to have a healthy season, to get back on track, for this run game to get going, for this offensive line to maybe get back to where they used to be a couple years ago, is to add a guy that does what George Pickens does. I'm excited about this move.
Yeah, look, I mean, how many routes in a row is George Pickens going to run? A 9 routes a go route. So how many 9 routes in a row are we going to see where he doesn't get the ball before he explodes? That could be big. Look, I mean, the upside with George Pickens, with this offense, you have your own little mini big 3 with Jake Ferguson, CeeDee Lamb, and George Pickens. And you mentioned the offensive line. Look, they're a really young group, but they're all drafted. Tyler Smith is, a stud. So they've got an opportunity to build around some good players. The Cowboys went from a team that we were counting out to a team that could get hot. They're on the could get hot meter on one of those ratings boards.
I'll say this. The one thing I but like in terms of long-term impact, I think George Pickens in a contract year, I think you'll get his best. But you have now George Pickens, Micah Parsons, and Deron Bland all hitting free agency after this season. It's just like that is 3, what should be, depending on how Deron Bland comes back healthy this year, blockbuster type of deals, $25+ million a year type of deals to 3 different guys. I just don't see them being able to fit that all in. So who is the odd man out after this? Just something to monitor there in Dallas. All right, number 4. And we can breeze through this one.
Yep.
We spent enough time at the Bears hiring Ben Johnson. To me, was the most impactful head coaching hire. To me, feels like a version of, when Kyle Shanahan was leaving Atlanta and was the hot coaching candidate. Now, obviously, he has probably a little bit more in terms of head coaching
chops.
Yes, given who his dad was, given how much he was around the NFL prior to that. But Ben Johnson, in terms of just offensive minds, that's the caliber you're getting in my eyes. Just from what I've seen from him, he is right up there with anyone else you want to put in the NFL, just in terms of week-to-week game planning, always coming with it. And so for a team that desperately, I think a lot of people wanted this last year when maybe they could have had a Jim Harbaugh or their pick ahead coaching candidates knowing they had the number 1 overall pick. I think they got it right this year.
So Caleb Williams is a phenomenal playmaker. He needs to prove he can be a phenomenal quarterback, right? So seeing him on time, seeing him have success within the offense with structured plays, not just when the play breaks down, that's what we want to see. That's what makes this offense better, right? You have to learn the rules before you can break them. So in regards to Ben Johnson having fun with his play calling, the trick plays, the funky formations, all that stuff, that's because they could run the ball and because Jared Goff, for the most part, was a good decision maker. So for everyone who can't wait to see all the crazy Ben Johnson stuff, they have to earn that. They have to prove that they can play within his scheme before they can get funky with it. That being said, of course, this team is looking for a 4,000-yard passer. This team is looking for a playoff win. That will come. It may not come this year, but it will come under the tutelage of Ben Johnson. I just hope that the Bears fans are patient. Super Bowl or bust is not the mindset to have. It's fun to be excited, but give Caleb Williams time. He kind of has to relearn the quarterback position, and I feel he has the tools to do just that, and the coach for sure.
You said it all, Brock. And Harry, you read my mind. I was about to say, Harry, put up that picture of Ben Johnson again, Coach Johnson. There it is. And you know what Ben Johnson's saying right there? He's saying, I got him. And
Yes,
I'm like,
sir.
and everybody's like, who's him? And he's like, Caleb. He's going to be all right.
Don't you have that picture framed in your bedroom, Kyle?
I do. It's actually it's not framed and it's on my ceiling above my bed.
Okay. All right. Well, there's that.
I just when I close my eyes at night, I am protected by Ben Johnson and his offensive genius.
Well, Caleb Williams should be protected better this year by that offensive line. And I do agree that Ben Johnson, I'm not looking forward to seeing what he does with Caleb Williams, because if there's anyone that can tap into the immense potential, I would trust that it's Ben Johnson. All right, number 3, Geno Smith getting traded to the Las Vegas Raiders and then subsequently extended. Am I just way higher on Geno Smith than everyone else? I couldn't believe
I'm right there with you.
Nope, I'm
I
here.
couldn't believe he was. I think. So just to go through some stats, because everyone last year gave C.J. Stroud this pass, right, for a bad second season or a regressed second season, and said the offensive line. Geno Smith was under almost identical pressure numbers, despite having a much lower average time to throw in Seattle, and completed over 70% of his passes. I believe one of like 6 quarterbacks in NFL history to ever complete over 70% of his passes. His accuracy is as good as it gets in the NFL. And now he's paired with 1, a much better offensive line, 2, a much better offensive coordinator in Chip Kelly, and 3, should be a much better running game with Ashton Genty there. So it's like, this is actually a situation where, maybe he doesn't have a DK Metcalf, but he has a Brock Bowers. He has a very reliable receiving core there, if nothing. We talked about earlier this year, Kyle, that in terms of drop rates, in terms of hands, this is the best receiving core in the NFL. So you're pairing the most accurate quarterback in the NFL with the best most sure-handed receiving core. There we go. In the NFL, I think it's going to be exceptional. I think if you're a Raiders fan, this is the most excited you've been since basically Derek Carr broke his ankle. That one at the end of, what was it, 2017 season. So it's number 3 for me.
Because of the division that they're in, Geno's not going to win as many games as he did last year, but he's going to be a better version of himself. If you ask anyone, has Geno Smith had a great career? They would say yes. A good career, they would say yes. But you would look back and say, okay, well, last year was his best year that he has ever had. And you mentioned it, Mike. What he did not have last year outside of the offensive line was a run game. As fun as the Charbonnet and K-Dub Trey duo could be, none of them were either healthy. The number of games that they were both available, I don't even know. I could probably count on one hand. You have Ashton Genty and Raheem Mostert. Mostert's probably going to be a little banged up, but he's not going to be the feature back. And Ashton Genty, we know, give him the ball 50 times a game and it's fine. The game can slow down. The game will have much more play action being involved. Geno will be even better than this year. That does not make them a playoff team, but it means the best version of Geno, and it means he's going to earn every single cent of that extension that he signed.
I love Geno Smith. I love Geno Smith as a leader. I love his story as a guy who wasn't handed the silver platter immediately upon entry into the NFL. I mean, he took a right hook to the face rookie year, okay, at his jaw. He's had to really I'm serious, guys. It's hard to it's hard to reintroduce yourself in this league. And for a guy that, I'm sure he would admit himself, he had a rocky start and he's had the opportunities, made the most of it. And to Brock's point, he's gotten better. And last year was his best year. And now he gets Pete Carroll. And now he gets Ashton Jeanty. And Chip Kelly is ecstatic to have a guy that can be point guard in this offense. I mean, a lot of the quarterbacks that have had success in Chip's offenses are guys who can distribute the football accurately and on time. Geno Smith can do that. They've got the offensive line. They've got the left tackle. They've got a center who is, getting older by the day, and he's getting better by the day as well. And he's a house. I like JPJ, an Oregon guy. Speaking of Chip Kelly, look, the Raiders are dangerous. To Brock's point, though, they may not win the division, but they're a team that not many people are going to want to play defensively or offensively.
Yeah, I say, I don't know if the Raiders make the playoffs this year. I would doubt if they do, especially given the Christian Wilkins news. But you will be a much improved franchise. And if you make correct decisions, which I thought they did this offseason, you will start being more in the mix in the AFC West. All right, my number 2. Laremy Tunsil getting traded to the Washington Commanders, a franchise left tackle. Who's only 30 years old, going to a team that, that was probably one of their biggest weaknesses. Now, I thought they did a great job of scheming around this offensive line. I thought Brandon Coleman, your left tackle starter there down the stretch, was great for a rookie. That doesn't mean he was a great left tackle in the NFL. It doesn't mean he was going to develop into one. You have one that for basically, this window, this holy grail that you're in the NFL, the rookie contract window where you're paying Jaden Daniels nothing to get elite play out of him. You are now pairing him with a left tackle who is going to be an elite pass protector that entire time. The sort of the at ease that he'll feel with Laremy Tunsil on the left side, who had the 4th highest PFF pass blocking grade, only about 23 pressures on 745 pass blocking snaps a year ago. You can't put a price tag on it. And I thought it was such a shrewd move that if you want to win a Super Bowl, this is a move that you make.
And I love that they're all in. I love that there is no hesitation from the Deebo Samuel move to the Laremy Tunsil move. They are saying if there is a player out there that can make our team better, we are going to bring them in. We have a young quarterback who, while mobile, while Gumby, who Jaden Daniels can take the hardest hit in the world, he's the first guy up. That doesn't mean we can't protect him even better. The confidence that a mobile quarterback has now, where he can say, okay, I can slow down my mental clock. Jaden Daniels, if you had to critique him on something last year, was sometimes leaving the pocket a little earlier than he needed to because he has that raw athleticism, because he can outrun anyone on a defensive front. He can relax a little longer. He can give Terry, once they pay him, a second longer to get open. He never panicked last year, but this just gives him even more comfort from running the football. I love watching Jaden Daniels run. I don't want him to run because he's going to get, it just increases the chances of his slender frame getting hurt. You always bring in an all-star left tackle when you can. No notes. Great job, Washington.
Harry, you know what I'm going to ask you to do? Let me tell you what, man.
What is wrong with you guys?
Let me tell you what, dude. I always say if you've got a great offensive lineman, you keep them, okay? And I understand that Houston had to reinvent the wheel at the offensive line, And I know you think I was going to go funny here because I was like, pull the picture up. I'm going to make some jokes. They got rid of a franchise left tackle to reinvent the wheel with a group that can spread the wealth a little bit more. Washington hit a home run, man. You can do so much more in protection. If you've got a guy like Laremy Tunsil, you can put him on an island. You can bring your left guard down. If there's an odd front, you can have help at the center position. You can slide right. There's a reason these guys get paid, these left tackles. They just do it differently than anybody else. Laremy Tunsil, no different. And I can't help but notice, is that a hoop earring in his left ear? Does he have the MJ look going on right now? He just needs the he needs the little mustache like MJ. MJ, new team at the end. He was still great. Okay. Nation's capital. He was a wizard. Maybe this is Laremy Tunsil's MJ move.
How did you tie that together? How did you tie that together, man?
I'm just saying, Brock. Look, O-line's hard. That's why there's not many great ones. Laremy Tunsil is one. The Washington Commanders got immediately better, and Jaden Daniels will get even better.
All right, my number one. And this is the first one that's skewing in the not positive light, but I think it was incredibly impactful. It's the Detroit Lions losing both Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn in one offseason. Unfortunately, this feels like I mentioned it earlier, feels like the 2016 Falcons, where they were the hot team. They should have won the Super Bowl. The Lions last year, they were it. They stay healthy defensively. That should have been your Super Bowl champion a season ago. They were the best team on paper. They were the best team when they were healthy. They weren't. They don't win one. They lose both their OC, their DC. I just don't think you replace what they brought to the table. Not to say they won't be a good team. I mean, the Falcons were still a good team after that, but it just, you lose that luster. You lose that shine that made you special. And unfortunately, I think the Lions are now just tier 2 in the NFC. They were top of tier 1. They are outside looking in. They're looking up at teams like the Commanders, looking up at teams like the Eagles. I just don't see them having what it takes anymore. Now, I'd be glad to be wrong about this and glad to have Kelvin Shepard, the new DC, John Morton, your new OC, pick up right where they left off, pass the torch, and not miss a beat. But unfortunately, I think it's easier said than done in the NFL more often than not at positions as important as OC and DC. And then you just had other things like Aiden Hutchinson maybe not looking quite back to himself, losing Frank Ragnow along the offensive line, just getting a little bit older there. We'll see, but it's my number one most impactful move.
The great thing is that there were internal hires, right? So yes, maybe some wrinkles might be different, but the verbiage is the
Morton
same.
came from, I think Morton came from Denver, but
I'm sorry. From a defensive standpoint, because you were talking about Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah, okay.
And Kelvin
Morton was there
Shepard.
previously though, but he came from Denver.
Yeah, he's familiar with the world, but yes. Specifically for the defense, who had what 1,000 different starters last year.
I think it was more.
This offense is going to do what it does. I don't care who's calling plays. You got Sonic and Knuckles. You got Jared Goff. You got Amon-Ra. You got Jameson Williams. They're going to find a way to be successful. It comes down to the defense. And I'm curious what Kelvin Shepard does schematically. Does he continue to trust and have as much faith in those young defensive backs that Aaron Glenn did? Man coverage as much as possible. How much do you trust them, et cetera, et cetera? If the pass rush isn't there, if you don't trust your linebackers, yes, guys are going to get healthy as the year goes on. They're going to start adding guys as the season goes. But the fact is that mindset will remain the same. Whatever version of Aiden Hutchinson you get, however long it takes Malcolm Rodriguez to come back, you still have Jack Campbell there. You still have angry guys who want to impress Dan Quinn. They play for Dan Quinn. And that's what I feel will be the key to this entire season, knowing that the offense is going to put up points, maybe not as many as last year. If the defense can't stop a nosebleed, it won't matter. My issue is Green Bay is going to win the NFC North. So you're fighting for a second seed within your division. Now, how quickly can JJ McCarthy put it together? What if Chicago comes out of nowhere? So I'm right there with you, Mike. I don't want to be nervous. I don't want the magic that was Detroit to be over. We were having so much fun. Everyone was a Lions fan, and I would hate to see that end. I'm going to say a wild card spot for them because they're going to get stronger as the year goes on. All that being said, it comes down to how quickly the defense can figure it out.
Yeah, how healthy will this group be? And I mean, there's a reason it's number one on the list. This changed the landscape, the power rankings, as it were. Ben Johnson gone in division. That hurts him even more. Aaron Glenn gone. But, can they get healthy on defense? And to Brock's point, they still retain the talent, the toughness, the success. They have the feeling of success in Detroit still. It's not like that goes away. So can they maintain momentum that they've gained over the last 2 years and roll it into this year with two new guys?